podcast where we discuss everything from politics to pooping. I'm Sharon Guy.
And I'm Rosellen Rother. We're two 20-somethings living in San Francisco trying to figure out what we're doing with our lives and talking it through for all y'all to hear.
We have a really meaty episode for you all tonight. This week has been super politics heavy, so we're going to chat about the love fest that is the DNC. We're going to talk about more damn emails, and we're going to scratch the surface on my anti-capitalism rant, and of course end with the Bachelorette. How have you been? I haven't seen you all week.
I know. It was so nice to see your face today. I've been cooped up in my house watching speeches for the past 4 days. Not that I didn't love it. Although I did go babysitting last night and continued to watch speeches from the couch. So I've gotten a lot of politics this week, and I'm ready to hash it out.
Yeah, I feel very saturated with speeches. I've literally been listening every day at work, just in the background, and having to like rewind every time somebody comes up to me. I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, I need to hear what Tim Kaine said, but do I really? No. Anyways, jumping right into the DNC, it was a love fest. It's very positive vibes. But the beginning, a little bit of a rocky start. We all were wondering like how Bernie supporters were going to act, and so we saw them show like how they felt, and it's kind of been permeating throughout the convention, but it was a lot in the beginning. What did you think?
I agree. Some of the first speeches that were happening were interrupted quite often by shouts from Bernie supporters, chants, Bernie, Bernie. However, Michelle Obama started Monday night with just the most amazing speech ever, and the shouts for Bernie kind of died down during her speech just because everyone loves her.
Yeah, her speech was only 15 minutes, and I think it was the most moving and powerful. Maybe not aside from Obama's himself, but like the way she talked, she was very emotional in it. I feel like she definitely tugged at some heartstrings.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to go back to the Bernie supporters thing just because I wanted to talk about Sarah Silverman's speech and her comment to the Bernie or bust people. She says in her typical Sarah Silverman voice, "To the Bernie or bust people, you're being ridiculous." And I was like, someone needed to say it. It's so rude the way they interrupt people and shout during their speeches. I understand that they want to be heard and their cause was important, but I do think they got a lot of credit at this convention, and a lot of the speakers did mention like the Bernie movement and how much good they did for the party, and they definitely weren't forgotten at this convention. So although Hillary obviously got the nomination and the roll call happened and she clearly won, Bernie definitely had a positive vibe.
Totally. And I feel like he went at the end of the roll call, even though like Vermont passed because they weren't the end. So he waited till the very end to announce that like Vermont was giving their delegates to Hillary, even though like she had already reached the number of delegates she needed. But it was symbolic. I think that it meant something to his supporters. He's like, come on. He's kind of like, you guys got to get on board too. Like,
did you see his brother's little speech there? I didn't even know he had a brother, but I watched this video and him talking about their parents and how they would have been so proud and how they loved FDR. This is probably the 5th time I cried this week at speeches. This wasn't even a speech. It was just him casting his final vote for Bernie as a delegate. And you guys, listeners to the podcast, you really got to look this up. Larry Sanders' speech. Bernie was crying. He was crying. He called him Bernard. It was
I know.
So
I love
precious.
that.
Oh my God, I want to cry right now thinking about it. It was so precious, and he was so proud of his brother for all he did.
It's so meaningful what he did. He really did start a movement, and like these people want to be heard, and I don't think that they're going to be quieted by any of what Hillary's doing. I feel like, yes, we're trying to get them on board, but they still, like, I'm still kind of, like, on that train of Bernie train of, like, his ideas. And, like, I want those to get pushed forward.
Yeah.
And whatever way that can happen, I think that's what Bernie supporters want, is that to be heard and those issues to come to light and not just be pushed back after Hillary gets elected.
Totally. So, yeah, Michelle Obama was Monday night. Who else was Monday night? There was another important person that spoke Monday night. I'm totally blanking. Elizabeth Warren.
And her speech did not get the reaction people expected.
Really?
Like, I just kind of felt, I don't know, she's normally so, like, very passionate and very just, her energy wasn't there. I felt like I wasn't as inspired by her speeches as I normally am, because she gets really fired up talking about stuff. But she was on like the anti-Trump train. That's
her whole spiel since she got on the campaign trail has been Trump is the worst possible thing that could happen to America, and we need to do everything we can to stop him. I thought she was great. I mean, I think she kind of sounds the same all the time, and she's always recorded in the Senate making speeches and on the campaign trail for Hillary, and it's always just, it's the same, but I think it's a powerful message, and people really like her even more so than they like Hillary.
Oh, totally. Well, because she's new. She doesn't have years of experience being in the limelight and like being scrutinized. So Elizabeth Warren has these very progressive ideas that people can get behind, and they feel like they can trust her. Like Hillary has issues with trust in her voters, I think.
Yeah. She was also wearing a very vibrant red jacket that I won't forget. Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, Elizabeth Warren.
Do you want to talk about Michelle's dress?
Not really. I was very much moved by her speech. I thought it was great that Christian Siriano, I know because he was on Project Runway, so I knew
you'd know.
I was so excited to see his name, but I also was like, I felt like that nobody paid attention to that, and everything was about the content of her speech, and I thought that was awesome. Although there was all this stuff so I thought it was really powerful how she talked about how she wakes up every morning in a house built by slaves. Mm-hmm. Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, fucker.
Did you see it?
That asshole. Yeah, I heard.
Oh my God, it was terrible. He's like, the slaves that worked on the White House were well fed and taken care of, or like some bullshit like that. We're like, okay, that's not the fucking
Another
point.
Old white man thinking slavery was okay.
Just infuriating, like the response to that. We're like, she had a great speech, and that is a fact that slaves built the White House. They are slaves. Like, that is, you can't really come back from that.
Just because you have a good meal doesn't mean you're not a slave.
You were owned by somebody. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so the other speakers that stood out to me, of course, Bill Clinton's speech. He seems so old.
He is very old. He looks very old. I saw a couple obviously edited photos on the internet of him.
Did you see the Onion one?
Yeah, where they put all these scars and puffy patches all over his face. I was like, that's a little too far. Yeah. He gives a good speech. He has a very unique style.
Totally.
His southern twang.
And of course he had to add my fellow Americans. I feel like that was such a thing that like his voice saying that, my childhood flashed in my head. It was
Remember
so
when you
weird.
used to download music and you'd get like a faulty one and it would be like, my fellow Americans, and it would be him talking?
I forgot about that.
Flashback.
Oh my God. LimeWire days. Kazaa. How many different tools could we use to download music?
How many different viruses can we get on our computers?
Oh my God. Anyways, his speech I thought was great because he's trying to show Hillary's softer side. He talked about how they met, and he's very, he's trying to portray her as not being a shark. I feel like a lot of people think of her as, they only see the political side of her, and they see her, as working as Secretary of State and as working as a senator. And so she's just, she's a person, too. She's a mother. She's a grandmother.
She was a girl in college that a lot of young people could relate to, meeting their first girlfriend in college, being scared to tap someone on the shoulder and having a certain feeling that this might be more than just another date. I don't know. I loved hearing the love story, and I loved hearing about her being a mother, and Chelsea is just, a perfect mini version of her, so successful. They did such a great job with her, and she's a grandmother now, and I loved the whole thing, honestly. It seemed very sincere, and I know people are thinking, oh, you're leaving out a huge part of the speech, but it's just don't talk about that. He didn't talk about that for a reason. Yeah.
I mean, that was that's going to be the sole focus, and still people talk about that. It's there's no need to bring it back up. It has nothing to do with her ability to rule the country, or to govern and to be president. Who cares?
If anything, it means that they're both really strong people and they're still together. They still have a great life. That they made it through that, True. Not a lot of marriages make it through stuff like that. And with their marriage being in the spotlight, all of that happening, they had some rough patches, but...
And he did say
they're
that.
Still strong.
He never said, he didn't completely glaze over it. He did mention heartbreak. He did mention hard times. And they made it through that. And it also shows her strength. Mm-hmm. And he talked about her being a change maker a lot, which I thought was great because it's bringing attention back to the great things that she's done in her career.
Yeah.
Because, she's made some mistakes. Who hasn't? Mm-hmm. But she's also been a champion for children, champion for education. It was really... I didn't really know all of the things that he was outlining. And so that inspired me to go read up more And it's great because it shows you that she can, like, I knew she could do the job already, but now it's like she's been doing similar things for years. Like, I don't know, I feel like he made it seem like she puts other people before her, and I feel that, and I feel that's sincere, even though there are things that people have problems with her about. Like, that's the core thing about her that I like.
And I think, I don't want this to sound wrong or something, but the way I think of it is she was a woman in the 60s who started from college and talked about herself in her own commencement speech, and you have to be a hard ass. You have to be a hard ass if you're going to be a woman in the 60s that's going to make it through and get to Washington and do as much as she's done in her lifetime, you know? Like, you're not going to be a pussy and make it through 40 years in Washington, you know? Like, yeah, she may not be the most likable person to the American people on TV, but that doesn't matter. You're not electing your best friend. You're not electing your nice third grade teacher. This is someone that needs to rule the country and needs to be able to stand up to terrorists and stand up to leaders of the foreign world. Like, it's...
But that's what that's the thing. That's the hardest thing. So if most people vote on, like, well, who would they rather have a beer with?
Yeah, I'm sure you'd love to have a beer with George W. Bush, and look at the shit he got us in, you know? Like, learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, I feel like she's by far the most qualified, and I think she'd do a great job, so there's no contest there. But I do have a problem with her VP pick.
Let's talk about his speech.
I think it's great that he speaks Spanish. I think that's awesome.
He's making sure everyone knows
yes, that is what I don't like about it. But it's also, I think he's trying to appeal to the Hispanic community because
of course.
Most Hispanics were expecting Hillary to pick somebody of an ethnicity, a diverse VP pick, and she didn't. She picked the most white.
Well, she needs to win
ever.
over the white America that's voting for Trump, and I think it might have been a shallow pick slightly, but it's very strategical. Clearly, yeah. He's a white man. Like, those white religious people in Middle America aren't going to vote for a Hispanic person.
True, but I also thought, like, he's very sincere. He's sincerely boring, but he's very sincere.
Dad vibes.
Yeah.
I turned on the speech and I was like, who is this D-list celeb talking to the crowd? And then I was like, oh, that's Tim Kaine. Because also I had no idea who Tim Kaine was before this. I had just heard his name and I'd heard it bounce around different news sources as a potential pick. But to be honest, I had no idea who he was. But now I do. And I think I did warm up to him a little more as his speech went on. But I was like, how long is this going to go on for? It was just like thoughts kind of strewn together without any real connections. Like, you listen to Obama's speech after that, or Michelle's speech, or Bill's speech, all these experienced orators, and he's just like throwing in Spanish lines and you know what, and you know what. And
oh my god, his Trump impersonation was terrible. But I think also people can relate to him. Like,
I hope so.
He's really kind of an average Joe feel, like dad vibes. Like, he has that appeal of like, but my problem, like, I can't take you seriously as VP. Like, if, like, God forbid, like, Hillary, something happens and he has to be president.
Well, think about how people think of Biden. Biden kind of has that jokey side where he's, like, kind of creepy / will say anything he's thinking. Like, there is a side of Biden that is a little weird, for sure.
Let's talk about his speech.
I really liked it.
I really liked it, but I was like, stop yelling at me.
He's mad.
I understand that, but I'm just like, dude, you can, like, he was yelling probably 85% of the time.
I was worried he was going to have a heart attack or something.
He was also really on fuego. But, like, it was, not to make a Spanish joke.
That should have been on for Tim Kaine, but he was not.
He was not on fuego. I don't know how to say the opposite, but.
And Frio. No.
Worse, frozen. No, so Joe Biden, he just has that same appeal, but somehow he's less boring than Tim Kaine.
Oh, way less boring. He was talking about, pulled the emotional card with his son, which is always a tearjerker. He talked about how close he's become with Obama and how long he's known Hillary. He's also been in Washington for so long, doing so much. He's got, his son was in the military. He's very, like, America is number one, and we can't put that at risk. Like, that towards the end of his speech, he was shouting, but it was important because he was like, we're not going to put this at risk. We're number one for a reason. No one fucks with us.
Right.
We're not going to let Trump screw this up for us.
Yeah.
And we can't. And he doesn't have a clue. He made sure that we knew that Trump doesn't have a clue.
Yeah, and the whole audience was like, not a clue.
Yeah, it's like you'll literally chant
clue.
anything.
Yeah.
It's like 3 words.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Also, him saying malarkey just like made me love him more.
Well, I was
You're
listening to
great.
a podcast, another source of media that I've just been consuming this week. Their opinions behind that word choice. He's from like northern middle America, like Pennsylvania, like coal miner area. Like that's a word that people his age would know and relate to. I think it's a weird word for us to hear as
I know what it means. I just
but
think it's funny that he said it. It's very generational for him, you can tell.
And the emphasis he put on it, just like
yelling though. So much yelling.
Emphasis on that syllable.
I know. It was great though. Like he does have that appeal to the people, and like I think that a lot of people were really excited listening to his speech. So he has that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Michael Bloomberg's speech because I liked how he brought in the fact that he's a businessman. He understands how that works. Because I feel like Trump has been using that as his up over, like, something he has over the Democrats is that he, like, understands how business works. And I'm like, yeah, they're not the only person who does that in the U.S. So I thought it was great. Like, he talked about putting disagreements aside for the good of the country. He's like, I don't agree with everything that Hillary does, but I don't want a Trump presidency. Like, he's like laying it out so New Yorker, very like direct.
He said that I am a New Yorker. I know what a con is.
Yeah.
This is a con.
And he said Hillary Clinton is not flawless. No candidate is. And I thought that was great. I'm like, you're right. And we're focusing on her flaws rather than her strengths.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. But, of course, the highlight. I know.
My favorite human on this earth.
I did not cry during any speech.
Oh my God.
But I am sure there were tears
When did I get so emotional? Before I like couldn't cry in movies.
You just love Obama.
I love him so much.
Since 2008, baby.
Where do we start? I loved the emotional intro video.
I didn't.
Narrated by Bryan Cranston. I recommend just YouTubing it and watching it.
Okay.
Like, it was made by the person that directs or works on Scandal and some other shows. So it was a little ominous. Like, there were some dark shots.
Super dramatic.
But it did a really good job showing what Obama has accomplished during his presidency. And 8 years, a lot has happened in 8 years. They went through a whole section on Osama bin Laden being killed and shots of him and Hillary in the room together late at night making decisions, and how calm he's remained throughout his whole presidency. So respectable, the way he's just always been that, like, strong presence in the room, but never freaked out, always handled everything really well. Of course, Michelle and the family, just, I can't get over how perfect he is.
And I feel like he touched on a lot of that in his speech, too. And, like, I like that he talked about him and Hillary being in the Situation Room and just how he's seen her work and he's worked with her very closely. Yeah. And, like, he chose her as Secretary of State for a reason. And it's just it seemed very genuine, too. Like, you know that they've seen them, like, each other at their worst and at their best. And, like, that's the best person to give that endorsement. But also, I thought it was really interesting because this is very rare for a lame duck president to give a speech at a convention. Yeah. And
shows how much it means to him.
But also it shows, like, because, like, George W. Bush, like, his approval ratings were so terrible that they didn't want him to speak. So, like, Obama has over 50% approval ratings, and that is really rare for a, like, exiting president. So I thought that was great. And then he's just a great speaker.
So many good quotes.
Yeah, great quotes.
Talking about democracy is not a spectator sport. You can't stand by and watch things happen and expect change to happen if you're not going to take a part in it.
And I feel like that was pointed towards Bernie supporters. Yeah. Because it's like and same with the don't boo, vote. That was my favorite. And he said that before, and it's very much like you have a part to play in this, and it's not just sharing your opinion, it's voting, and it's acting, like, in this process to make sure that we elect the right person. And so I feel like he said it without saying it.
Yeah.
He definitely was, like, he did give them credit, though. He gave Bernie supporters credit. Totally. He gave Bernie Sanders credit for, like, getting 13 million people to back him. But he's also like, now those 13 million people need to vote for Hillary.
Yeah.
And you need to put aside. He's saying, even if you're 100% right, getting things done requires compromise. And that, I think, is so much what our politics is. And people refuse to believe that because we're so polarized that they're like, no, we want to push our agenda forward and, like, not make any compromises. And, like, you're not going to get anything done then.
I think Democrats have always been the ones more willing to compromise, and they've gotten a lot of flack for that. Like, they're almost too willing to compromise, where they'll be pussies in some situations because they won't stand their ground and they'll just give in because they want some change to happen. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, there's no willingness to compromise. No willingness to compromise on gun control.
And it gets nothing done, whereas Democrats are willing to compromise, and we're making baby steps.
Yeah.
Like, you make progress, but it's slow.
Hillary's made baby steps. And, I mean, throughout her lifetime, it will be significant steps. But over the past however many years she's been in Washington, it seemed like slow change, but a lot has happened. And Obama was so famous for his 2004 convention speech. That's what put him up on the pedestal and got everyone to notice who he was before he was running as the first black person in the Senate, was what he was doing before running for president. And he was living in Chicago.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
2004?
2004.
Wow,
he gave that speech at the Democratic Convention, and then 2008 he ran for president. And that speech is what made him so famous. And I think this speech that he gave, this is going to be one of the last big speeches he gives of his presidency, is going to kind of usher him out. And it was just so many good speeches.
It was a great note to go out on.
Yeah.
And, like, them hugging afterwards, it was great. All these memes are coming out of, like, the loving looks as their eyes are closed and hugging each other.
So many feelings.
So many feelings. Like, the
whole hope message was really strong, too. And that was his running platform, was hope and change, and the audacity of hope. I remember those red and blue paintings of his face with hope, and he said, do for Hillary what you did for me in 2008. And that's what got me through, was you guys, was all you. Oh my God, it was all you.
Yeah. That was
great. Hope, like, just hope that we can do it. Hope that we can move this country forward. Yeah. And it was a powerful message.
Took a very positive take on it, and then he talked about how Trump is using fear to convince people to vote for him rather than facts, and it's a lot of fear mongering. The RNC was a lot of fear mongering, and so I think the DNC definitely took a turn on the other end of just positivity all around.
Republicans were super gel.
Yeah.
All of their tweets talking about how jealous they were, saying this was the convention we should have had, and, like, I'm looking at some of these right now. I started the evening saying for the first time I thought Trump could win. Then Obama spoke. I'm so angry at my own party right now. That's from Eric Erickson.
And that's really poignant because the RNC's main goal was to unify the party and to get the Republican, like, voters to back Trump. Mm-hmm. And if, like, elected officials of the Republican Party are tweeting, like, support for Obama's speech, like, that is... I mean, of course they should, because it was a great speech. But it's also, like, that's showing, like, how divisive it is right now. And, like, how much work has to be done on both sides. But it's also, like, gives Democrats a little bit of hope. It's like, okay, the Republicans they're not all united. But I feel like Democrats are closer to a united party than Republicans.
I'm loving this. More from the same guy, Eric Erickson. The GOP offered a vision of doom, despair, and division. Tonight, the president I think divides us offered optimism. I hate this year. And my favorite, text just now from a senior House Republican who gave me permission to tweet this. We were supposed to make that sort of speech.
Yes, that's crazy.
That just is music to my ears.
Yeah, oh, it's awesome for us, but it's like that's showing how much of a mess Republicans are right now.
Meanwhile, on Donald Trump's Twitter, our country does not feel great already to the millions of wonderful people living in poverty, violence, and despair.
Ugh.
Oh, it's so negative.
It's so because that's how he wants people to get scared, and they're like, oh, Donald Trump is the only one that can save us.
How can you not be a Democrat after this convention? Like, I know there's still one more night that we're not discussing because we're recording on Thursday, but so much happiness, so much love, like, love trumps hate. I don't really like that saying because it says Trump in it, which is super annoying. Mm-hmm. Love wins, love always wins. It sounds so corny, but
no,
it's
I
true.
love it.
Like,
it's
so
great.
many good feelings after watching all those speeches, and if there's not a little bump for Hillary in the polls, I'm gonna be a little disappointed, because it made everyone so happy.
Well, it made us happy when we agree with
exactly.
everything being said. So there's not a lot, like, there's people out there who don't agree with everything that's being said. They don't agree with what's going on the Democrat platform. Like, there is reason for opposition.
It's so hard to see that, but you're so right.
Yeah.
It's so true. Like, Democrats, of course Democrats love that. That's their shit. But the other half of the country, or hopefully less than half, is coming up with any excuse they can to hate Hillary. Put her in jail, lock her up, she's corrupt, she's a bitch, whatever you want to say. She's gotta convince them to change their minds.
I know. It's so hard because she does not have the same effect on a crowd that Obama or Michelle does. Like, she can't get that genuine feeling
it's like,
to come
just
across.
Say things differently. Like, your tone needs to change.
The way she speaks, it sounds very robotic. It sounds like she's just reading off a teleprompter, which she is, but it's like, so is everyone else.
You've been doing this for so long, Hillary. Come on. Like, you can do this. You can mix things up.
I think she's afraid, though. I feel like she's had to be so tough and so hard for, like, her majority of her career that, like, for her to show her softer side, it's definitely going back to the, like, antiquated views of being, like, a woman in a man's world. Of, like, you can't be emotional, you can't show your softer side because that's a weakness. And we're like, we're not in that world anymore. And I feel like somebody needs to remind her, like, hey, you're, like, the first woman nominated to be, like, a candidate for president. Like, you can show that you're a human. Like, that's what American people want to see, like, the human side of her. And Bill Clinton outlined it for us. It's great. Like, yeah, we know it's in there, but we don't see it when we see her speak. We don't see it when you, like, see pictures of her. The best, I mean, I did see it when she was hugging Obama.
Yeah.
Like, that's genuine. Like, she's so appreciative of him and for him giving that speech for her. And, like, he is just like, I'm so proud of you. Did you hear him mouth that to her? Like, it's genuine. You feel that. So
I think they're trying to do that, like, humanize her by talking about her being a mom, her being a grandma, but Michelle's whole theme was, we need to do this for our kids, and you really believe it coming out of her mouth, because, like, that's been her game this whole time, is education, doing things for her girls. Do you think that that's been brought up this much with Hillary because she is a woman? You don't really hear them talking about their kids as much when it's been men as presidents running. But
I think it also, like, Michelle's speech pointed at, like, how dangerous the world is right now, and just also at, like, her daughters are black women. And, like, being a black woman in the U.S. means something right now, and there's, like, a lot of news surrounding that, and Black Lives Matter, and, like, that is something that people need to pay attention to. So I feel like she brought that up for that reason. Like, she's like, I have the same worries as a mother that you do, but I also have the worries as a black person, as a mother of 2 black women in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I feel like she brought that up for that reason, but it's also, like, people are concerned about the future. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with ISIS. We don't know what's going to happen with the election. Like, I think this convention was trying to remind people that, like, the future is in our hands. We can decide what happens to our kids, to our grandkids, like, well, I guess our kids, like, for the next 8 years, next 4 years, like, the decision is in our hands. It's democracy. And I feel like Obama touched on that too. He's like, this is a democracy. He's like, demonizing the other side is not what democracy is about. And I really loved when he said that, because I'm like, that's what we've been doing for the past 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, especially on the Republican side, it's like, any Democrat idea coming through, they just shove it down, regardless of what
they won't even read it.
Yeah. Like, Merrick Garland and Supreme Court Justice nomination.
So
I can't, it really, because you're going against the Constitution when you're doing that.
Well, we're fucked if Trump gets elected and he has to elect someone to the Supreme Court.
That is the least of our problems.
No, it's not. I mean, that's going to be a huge thing that happens if Trump gets elected. That space is going to be filled by a Republican, by a crazy person, and it's going to be a 5-4 vote every time. Every time. Democrats aren't going to be... Gay marriage, abortion, all those huge things that go to the Supreme Court. We're kind of lucky. I mean, we're sitting in limbo right now because it's 4-4.
Yeah.
But
they still
Scalia was on the right, but there's some centrists. There's some central people there that would go back and forth, but he's for sure going to elect someone that's... I mean, Scalia was on the right, so I guess it'll just be another right person.
Yeah.
But just the idea of more people leaving the Supreme Court over the next 8 years and him having the power to put people on there.
It's terrifying. But he has the nuclear codes. Like, that's my thing. He's he's so power hungry. Anyways, Trump is a whole topic that I just don't want to get into that right now, but I also want to talk about the people who were disruptive during the speeches. Mm-hmm. I find that so disrespectful, but I also get it because apparently the California delegation was the most controversial. They were the loudest, and a lot of them were
Best
Bernie
state
supporters.
ever!
A lot of them were Bernie supporters, and a lot of them were anti-TPP people. And so, a lot of people are anti the Trans-Pacific Partnership because they think that it takes jobs outside of the U.S., and everyone who's running for president opposes it, but Obama has been pushing it forward. And so it was really interesting to hear, how loud the anti-TPP people were during Obama's speech. But he handled it great, but I'm just curious, how is that going to play out?
I don't know enough about it, to be honest. I don't know when they're going to vote on it. I know people are mad because they were kind of keeping the whole thing a secret because no decision's been made, so they haven't announced any sort of decision on the platform yet, but people really don't seem to be happy about it. I know, isn't it going to take, eliminate tariffs or raise tariffs?
It eliminates it. I don't know if it eliminates it completely, but it makes it easier for U.S. companies to expand to those other countries, and they don't have to pay as much in taxes. Or it's something that promotes economic growth for the other countries, but may take jobs away from the U.S., and that's what people are concerned about.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just scanning some articles right now.
But we can get back to the TPP, but talking about other controversial things during the DNC, I thought that the email leak was very convenient, the timing of it all. Mm-hmm. So the Democratic National Convention started Monday, and WikiLeaks released all of these emails from the DNC, basically showing that leadership in the DNC was blatantly anti-Bernie and promoting Hillary, and I just thought that was ridiculous. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz did she resign or was she removed from the position?
She resigned.
I think she resigned, but then later was soon picked up by the Hillary campaign.
Of course, they're on the same side.
But it's just terrible. And that is the one thing. For me, that's the focus. Is that email should not have been sent. Mm-hmm. And yet, all of this talk of Russia and Trump, the Republicans pushing this forward. I'm yes, okay, who leaked it matters. But let's talk about the fact that this email is being sent in the first place. This is showing that Democrats are just as hypocritical as Republicans. And it breaks my heart.
I don't think it's a Democrat versus Republican thing. I think it's the establishment. And that's what Bernie was fighting against. And Hillary is the establishment, and she's supposed to have been the nominee since 2008. She was going to be the next nominee. We knew it. Mm-hmm. And Bernie wasn't expected to happen. Yeah. No one knew that was coming. And the DNC was what the hell do we do now? We have this competitor all of a sudden. I'm not surprised at all.
It's not fair, but the corruption of it drives me insane. Because I'm this is a democracy. It's listen to what the people want. And I'm if you're trying to convince the people that you're not in the big bank's pocket and you're not being controlled by Goldman Sachs, then listen to the people. So that's what really gets my blood boiling about it. Is I'm just so frustrated.
Yeah, she's tied to corporations. I'm gonna push that aside because she's the better candidate. That's one of the things that's
Right.
We
She's
know
not perfect.
That's true.
She does have flaws, but it's just that just gets me.
She wears expensive clothes and has a very expensive house and takes expensive vacations.
Yeah. So the emails were leaked Monday. Very convenient timing. Then voicemails were leaked Wednesday, during Obama's speech. So it's basically the same people in the DNC talking. It's just more. I think the leaks are very conveniently timed because they're trying to take away attention from the speeches and from the convention. Mm-hmm. And so they're just trying to pull away media attention. And so it's the whole question is, who is they?
Is it Putin? And that's what
everyone
the media wants us to believe.
Yeah, they think it's Russia because Russia supports Trump because Russia has lent Trump money.
God, he can't even handle his own money. He has to go to Russia for it?
Yeah, it's so...
Do you think... I have a question. Do you think that Putin wants Trump to be elected because he knows how much of an idiot he is, and that if Trump's our president, no one will be able to take us seriously, and then Russia can take over?
I think that's part of it, but I also think that, like, Putin thinks Trump is a good leader because Putin's a bad leader. Like, they're on the same playing field. Like, they're both have these... Trump is trying to make it seem like he's the good guy when he's really not. Which leads me into another topic, which kind of leads into my rant about capitalism. But first, let's talk about Trump. His candidacy is basically him as the wolf wearing the sheepskin, because he is acting like he's the like normal American, that he's like not a politician, not part of the establishment. He's appealing to the American people because he's a businessman. Like, he built up his own career and his own wealth. But you know that the minute he gets in, if he gets elected, God forbid, that he's going to do everything that's going to benefit himself and the 1% that he belongs to. That is like, gets me so frustrated, because the only thing he's claiming that he's going to serve the middle class when he's honestly just going to serve the richest people in the country, and like the same problems are going to perpetuate and get even worse.
Honestly, I don't even think he knows enough about how to do anything, that he's just going to hand off the jobs to other people. Like what he asked John Kasich.
Yeah,
will you handle foreign and domestic affairs? What the fuck? What are you going to do? He says, I'll be making America great again.
Yeah. They deny that happened, though.
Honestly, I'd way rather John Kasich be our president than Trump.
Oh my God, are we really saying that?
I hope it doesn't happen.
Anyway.
And John Kasich said, fuck you anyways.
Yeah.
As he should. Great minds think alike.
But another point about Trump and the ties to capitalism is he wants to do away with EPA. Like,
what? He says that. I bet he doesn't even know what EPA is.
So he says a lot of stuff, but I'm like, these have like crazy downstream effect, but I see where he's coming from with the EPA, because like the environmental regulations put on corporations right now, they are expensive. But we're trying to save our fucking planet. Like, we're not like
I don't even think Congress would let him do that. However many Republicans there are, they're not going to get rid of an entire government agency.
Right, but this just shows his motivation behind that decision is like, he wants profit. Profit is the priority.
It's not like he's going to take that money though. You know,
but he's
like,
saying it's for other businesses. He's doing it for other business. He's still a businessman. Like, what happens to his business when if he becomes president? Like,
his kids take it over.
But I'm like, he still wants that wealth to be accruing, so he's not going to put regulations on corporations because he owns a corporation.
Douchebag Vine fuckface, as Bill Maher calls him.
Oh my God, I love Bill Maher. But anyways, okay, so this gets me into, if you know me, you have heard my capitalism rant.
Get Sharon a couple of glasses of wine deep, and she'll go all night.
Just get very frustrated that our country values capitalism as this great thing, and yet we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
It's what our country was built on.
I mean, I get that, but now the priority is money. Nobody cares about the consumer. Nobody cares that their product may be detrimental to their consumers as long as they're making a profit. For example, the auto industry. Like, GM has had so many recalls in the past year, and it's because of it's too expensive to fix it, so they just glaze over it. So they're like, oh, okay. That's okay. We still want to sell cars, though. Volkswagen purposely cheating on emissions tests to make their cars seem like they're more environmentally friendly, just so they can sell more. Or, like, pass a test to be, like, I don't know. But very frustrating, because it's like, who suffers in those situations? People buying those cars.
Yeah.
Like, faulty ignition in a GM car? Like, people have died.
Capitalism on an insane scale as it has become with globalization, I mean, it affects the workers too. Like, all the people in sweatshops in Indonesia, like, those people are making pennies per hour to work slave labor, basically.
Yeah, just so those CEOs can make
it fuels the sex trade too, I'm sure. It's all
totally all everyone connected. Just wants to make money. This is the focus of the country now, is making money. It's like, and at any cost, and that's the problem.
Forever 21 is known for using sweatshop labor in Thailand or wherever, and they have Jesus quotes on their bags.
I don't think the two are correlated.
Well, they think they're a good Christian company, yet they're partaking in awful practices like sweatshop labor. Yes. Great Christians.
So something that really like reignited this fire in me against capitalism was I recently watched The Big Short. And
great movie.
Yeah, I thought it was one of those rare, like, I've never seen a movie made like that where it's like explaining something so clearly and in a way that like our generation and like this time
did Ryan Gosling have any effect on that? He was the narrator for the movie.
Yeah, I don't like the writers. I give full credit to the writers of that movie. I thought it was really well done. It really explained the mortgage crisis. It really explained the economic downfall of 2008. And I'm like, wow.
Was that the first time you saw it?
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters.
No, really I just saw it last weekend and I was blown away because it just like made me so angry, especially at the end where they're going through like what happened afterwards and basically how the same problem or the same thing that caused the economic downturn of 2008 is happening again. It's just like they're calling it something else. And so it's basically, it's motivated by these big banks. It's motivated by these people who work at these banks who just want to make money. Like, they don't care that they're affecting the whole economy. Like, in 2008, that affected the world. It's not just the U.S.
Totally. It's crazy that one guy, Christian Bale's character, knew that everything was happening and people just brushed it off like he was some crazy person. Didn't believe him.
Yeah.
He was my favorite character. He did a great job.
He did. It was just, that movie was great. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But
let's see.
I feel like we should move on to a lighter topic.
Are we going there?
I think so. Okay, so just a disclaimer, the rest of the podcast will be Bachelorette coverage.
Yes.
Since we've like gone down a deep hole of politics, let's like go back into
catch some fresh air
and like dive into the horrible reality TV.
We wake up in Thailand where JoJo has brought her 3 remaining suitors for Fantasy Suite Week.
And it's sweaty as fuck.
They're so miserable. Poor Robbie, his first date, it's like pouring rain. They're like on the boat covered. I was like, that gives me so much anxiety thinking about them going around some stinky fishy market in the rain.
Oh, like, that seemed fun to me.
It would be way more fun if it wasn't raining.
Well, yeah, okay. We of all people should know that the weather is so unpredictable in Southeast Asia.
We lucked out. We didn't get any crazy rainstorms like that.
We got some rain, but I'm saying like it wasn't crazy like that. But I'm like, you just never know what's gonna happen. But like, you make the most of it. You're in fucking Thailand. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Actually, can we rewind? Do you want to talk about Luke's goodbye? Since you love Luke now.
I don't know if I love him now, but his goodbye really, like, actually made me like him more. Like, he was so shocked.
His face was like a deer in headlights. All I could think of was, like, take that look off your face. You look like such an idiot.
Yeah. I felt bad for him, though.
He knew it was coming. I feel like that was his fake shocked look. Like, him trying really hard to look shocked. No? No? You think he was actually that blank-faced?
Yeah, I think he was really... He just can't articulate how he feels. So it's like he looks shocked, but his words didn't sound that shocked. So it's like, what? Is this real?
Yeah, he doesn't talk that much.
Yeah, he doesn't. But I have heard some rumors about him being the next Bachelor.
I'm not down with that.
Me neither.
They need to bring in new blood. Like, a whole new other person. Like, not anyone from the show.
I don't know if they're going to do that.
I think they might. They've done it in the past.
Anyways, that was a rumor I read, but let's go into Robbie's overnight date.
Okay.
A little bit more. I love that he's now calling her Joelle instead of JoJo.
I think it's sincere. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. No, I'm not being sarcastic. Yeah. I like it. I think that it's showing, like, I don't know what his motive is behind it, but I felt like he's just... Actually, I don't know if I like it. Now that I'm talking it through, I'm like...
I mean, we're so used to her being called JoJo for this whole time, but that's actually her real name is Joelle.
Yeah, no, I get that, but...
It means that he, like... It's her real name. Like, I don't know what her friends... I'm sure her friends call her JoJo, but... Yeah. It shows her more of, like, a woman, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like it makes him seem more serious about it, that he's, like, calling her by her real name. But I really noticed his beady eyes in this... episode.
Slightly like the villainous face.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, he's almost, like, too into her.
I think they had a great time because he had told her he loved her so long ago that, like, there was no pressure for that. He didn't need to worry about, like, telling her that this time because, like, he already told her way long ago. So, like, she already knows. They're already really comfortable with each other. All they had to do was bang, bang, bang. And
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, I think they did for sure. But I don't know. I feel like, and then at the end of it in the morning, she was like wanting to tell him that she loved him, but she didn't because she was like, went through this whole thing and you knew that was just motivated by what Ben did to her, which I'm like, that's great. It's like,
she's still pretty fucked up from Ben.
I think so too. I don't think she was ready for this.
She brought it up with Jordan too. She's like, that's not what Ben said.
No, she's like, that's what Ben said to me.
Yeah.
So like, she has some trust issues.
I think it's good that she learned her lesson, though. Like, she's not making
She's the fucking Bachelorette.
I mean, she is making sure that she doesn't make the same mistakes that he did.
Okay, but I don't believe that because let's talk about Jordan.
Wait, I'm not ready to move on from Robbie yet.
Oh, what else do you want to say about Robbie?
I wanted to talk about how he told her that he wanted to stay in bed with her in the mornings and be late for work because he doesn't want to get out of bed with her, but he doesn't have a job.
We don't know. We
really
don't know
curious about what he thinks work is like, that, like, you can just do that and, like, not go in because you're in bed snuggling. Like, talk about my life every morning. Of course I don't want to get out of bed with my boyfriend. I would love to stay in bed and snuggle. That's what the weekends are for. You can't always get what you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm very curious to see if Robbie has a job. But also, well, that leads me into the Jordan conversation that they had.
Another man without a job.
Yeah. Who has no plan for the next year of his life.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a couple offers.
Yeah, like, he does have an offer to be a sports newscaster or something. So,
whatever,
maybe,
bro.
I don't know if he knew that at that point, but he's the worst.
I am fully on that train now. Yeah,
he just says the right things, but it doesn't feel genuine. Like, in his eyes, like, I don't see the genuine feeling there. But I did see it the morning after.
I disagree with you and think that he does not say the right things. He said that you meeting my parents was the last check off my list. Like, she looked at him like, what about meeting my parents? Like, he doesn't think of her when he talks about things. And, like, after when they came out of the bedroom and he did his little post-bang interview or whatever, he was like, that was all I needed. Yeah. Like, what about her?
He's
like,
so self-involved.
So self-involved.
But that's the thing. That's what I mean. He's saying what he thinks she wants to hear. Ugh. Is what I mean. Like, he's saying the right things in his own mind that, like, oh, I should say these things in order for her to believe me that I'm, like, falling for her. I'm, like, I'm in this and stuff. Mm. Like, he's very calculated. Or he just literally doesn't think about anyone but himself.
I think it's the latter.
It might be a combination of both. I thought it was a huge red flag that he doesn't know. Like, she's like, oh, what's your plan for the next year? Like, where do you see yourself in a year? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, 5 years? Great. I don't know 5 years. Mm-hmm. A year?
Yeah.
You're 27 years old. Like, that tells me you're not ready to settle down and get married at all. Like, aside from the self-involvement, aside from everything else that's wrong with you, that statement alone,
yeah,
I'm like, that is pretty bad.
Totally. How are you going to support me in my lavish lifestyle?
No, no. She's got the Bachelorette. She's got ABC paying her now. Like,
and
once
after
you're
this,
in Bachelor Nation, you're in it. Like, there's like
promoting shit on Instagram.
Yeah,
as a living.
I'm pretty sure that's how
much
all
do you think
of them
they
make
make
money. I don't care.
I'm curious. How can I get into this industry?
I really don't want to talk about Aaron at all. I think it's stupid. I think it's just all for, like, publicity.
I disagree. I think they finally found him and forced him to say something about the show.
But he didn't want to say anything. What he's saying doesn't even, like...
He said, I wish him the best of luck with the competition.
Yeah, that shows that he was, like... Bachelor is technically a competition. If you, like, bare bones it out, you're 25 guys competing for one girl's attention.
It's not finding love. It's who wins.
It's a competition. So he's being very real about it, and he's just not, like... People are trying to say it's a competition between them as brothers, and I don't think that has anything to do with it.
If you read really far into it.
I don't care enough. I just think it's annoying that, like, the whole, like, focus on Aaron Rodgers and the fact that Jordan's Aaron's brother. I'm like, that's not what's gonna make, like, them be a couple, like, a good couple. Even though, like, that's what's attracting her to him is, like, the fame or the promise of it, but there's not really a lot of fame.
If he wasn't famous, I wonder if she would care nearly as much about him.
I think he's playing the game where, like, he's making her, like, fight for her now. Fight for him. Like, he it's a challenge, and I think that's why she likes it.
What, like he's playing hard to get?
Yes.
Dude, she picks you. You don't pick her.
I know. He's turning the table.
Ugh.
That's like another reason why I don't like him.
Annoying.
But, okay, Chase.
Poor Chase.
Poor Chase. Little puppy dog Chase.
I think he probably has a girlfriend already. He's probably gonna do great.
I mean, I hope so, but he was so pissed when he got sent home.
I mean,
which
yeah.
Understandable. Like, you tell someone you love them, and he has a hard time, like, opening up. And, like, he totally opened up during their date, and he was, like, telling her how he felt, and then, like, finally...
He kissed a fish for her.
He stopped a fish. I know, that was gross. But,
She really shouldn't have invited him into the fantasy suite.
Yeah. And, like, I think that's bullshit that she didn't know how she felt until he said that. But I do, it's so rough, but I'm like, her saying I didn't, like, what did she say? She's like, I don't feel like I thought I was going to feel. I was like, oof, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but it's like, you know beforehand. You know before somebody says I love you. And, like, if you spent the whole day with them, like, you know.
I think she did really like him, and she had a really good time on the hometown dates, but she knew what her feelings were for Robbie and Jordan more. Mm-hmm. And she knew that it just wasn't worth it to go to Pound Town with him when she didn't need to. She knew she was going to send him home.
Yeah.
And that would just make it so much harder.
Yeah, and she said that too.
Yeah.
Which is true. I think he was just really, like, stoked to bang, and then it was like...
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
like...
blue balls.
Balloon bursted for sure. Like...
He was so pissed. He cracked a beer like as he was getting into the van and
like,
shoved
is this my fantasy suite? I thought that was so funny. Oh my god, that was so funny. He was so sarcastic and so pissed.
He chugged his champagne before he got up too.
Yeah.
Like, I need to start coping now.
Oh god. But then when he came back, like,
it was
totally move. To save face, and I think it did. I feel like he redeemed himself for being so immature in his exit. But I wonder if, like, that was, like, the producers wanted him to do that to, like, maybe drama, or, like, he was like, oh, I kind of need to, like, say something else. Like, I didn't want to leave it on that note.
I don't know. That's a good... I don't know which... I feel like it was him that wanted to stay. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He would have had to make that decision not to go home that night, though, and to stay another night. Maybe there wasn't flights. He couldn't get a flight, so he's like, all right, let's rethink this.
ABC on a budge.
I think that was really respectable of him to come back, and she really appreciated it too.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, I was a dick, and I want to come back and tell you and say goodbye, like, in the right way.
And I think thanks to that, he's probably dating somebody now.
Yeah. He's cute, dude.
He is. He's just boring. To me. But I don't
At least he got a job.
That is true. He does have a job and a house.
And a
like,
house.
Hometown.
Houses aren't easy to come by these days.
Yeah, he's a homeowner. Major plus. All right. So that was overnight dates, fantasy suites, and then we had 2 nights of The Bachelorette this week. Like, they
really make us sit through a lot.
They're really, like, asking a lot of their fans.
With the DNC, my eyeballs are just, like, glazed over. I need, like, to keep them closed all weekend.
Yeah. So the Men Tell All was Tuesday night, and I honestly, like...
This is always my least favorite night.
No, I really enjoy this normally. But these guys, I, like, come back to my statement I made a couple weeks ago. These guys are so boring. Mm-hmm. Like, Men Tell All was, like, a Chad show because they had nothing else to talk about. Like, JoJo was a great Bachelorette because she was fair to all of them. She didn't cause drama. Like, she was trying her hardest to be sincere and, like, take the process seriously, even though it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
She's taking it seriously, so I don't feel like she mistreated anybody. I don't feel like there was that drama of, like, her... I don't think there's any issues with her. So, like, that only leaves the guys, and then the guys are so bland that, like, they had to, like, make stuff up.
Yeah.
So it's like Chad was the only thing adding anything interesting.
There really wasn't any drama.
It's like, well, okay, we've talked about this. Like, he's a douche. We already know that.
A little bit of Alex kind of, like, picking fights with people. He's also super annoying.
I thought that was a great point, though. Somebody made about, like, him always needing to be, like,
pointing the finger at something else.
Like, fighting for something. Like, he needs to be, like, somebody's champion.
Veteran
like,
complex?
Yeah, but then Luke's like, I was in the military, I don't have that. Like, I thought that was great. It's like,
good.
It's not an excuse. That's just your personality.
Yeah.
Shitty.
Chad was such a dick. He goes, I hope you're doing well, but Robbie literally broke up with his girlfriend 2 days before coming on the show, and Jordan cheated on his ex-girlfriend. So good luck with that. I was just like,
he like
there
tried
are no
to be,
words.
Yeah, he tried to be nice, and then of course he's not. I'm like, but he's the villain. Like every character, like every guy on The Bachelorette is like a one-note character. Like Luke's a war veteran, like Chad's a douche,
Michael Diabetes.
You really love Michael
I'll never
Diabetes.
forget that. Shout out to Nora for claiming that.
Too funny. And then like even the bloopers were boring. Like
I was laughing, to be honest, but it was just like, and when it comes down to it, it was just like her running away from animals.
Just bugs. Obviously, in Thailand, there's so many fucking
The deer,
bugs.
like...
Yeah, the bugs, though. I loved the bugs part. Because I'm like, I hate bugs, too. And I'm like, how... Like, obviously, there's this situation, like, in Florida, there's so many fucking bugs. Like, when she went to see Robbie's family.
Yeah.
Like,
ugh.
and, like, in Thailand, Southeast Asia, there's massive. Mm-hmm. Like...
Oh, they were all so sweaty at the rose ceremony.
Yeah.
Robbie was sweating through his shirt. Jordan wasn't sweaty, actually.
Because he was wearing flip-flops.
What a dick.
Like Havaiana flip-flops.
Put on some fucking shoes.
No rainbows, no, like, nice flip-flops.
Such a California bro.
I mean, it's hot as fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't tell how to read her at the Men Tell All. She did not seem, like, super happy.
Yeah.
She wasn't wearing a ring, obviously, but, like, they'd make her take it off.
She's happy.
She was like,
has to say that.
Yeah, she doesn't want to give away too much, but I was like reading into it, like, are you happy? She's like, I'm doing okay. She said, like, what the fuck does that mean? Are you with anyone? I need to know.
They can't tell. Like, it's not like she's gonna tell us.
I know,
like
but
them.
I'm just trying to overanalyze.
Monday.
Is it Monday?
Yeah.
Already? I feel like they usually skip a week and tease us.
Normally it's Men Tell All. They did in 1 week. They did fantasies.
Wow. Oh yeah, they're trying to get Bachelor in Paradise.
Bachelor in Paradise starts on Tuesday.
Oh, that's gonna be a good week. I'll watch 2 days. I'll watch 2 days in a row for that.
I can't handle it. Oh man. Okay. Well, enough Bachelorette. I can't.
I'm ready for another glass of wine.
I know. Same. Well, thank you guys for listening this week. Next week will be less politics heavy, I promise, with all the conventions over.
Mm-hmm. We can finally rest our eyes and our brains.
Hopefully there won't be more craziness happening, but like always, we will be covering The Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise. So
get ready.
I'm pretty excited for Bachelor in Paradise because it's even more of a shit
Lace
show.
and Chad. I've seen the previews.
Yeah, there's a lot of previews.
Chase
is on it.
No, Chase is their combo name. Chad and Lace.
Oh God. On that note,
good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.